So lads, this is not a great look for the Indiana Fever organization. If you've got Caitlin Clark, the star of the Indiana Fever, she's going and seeing whatever about not seeing the Indiana Fever's doctors. Like, it is what it is with that. It is what it is. Like, I think a lot of players and teams get second opinions. But if you haven't seen here, Stephanie White says there's no update on Caitlin Clark or potential timeline. She met with another doctor, but White says she hasn't spoken with the...
Route Basketball back to life in Indiana. Just delivered the loudest message in one bastery without saying a single word. Caitlin Clark, the face of women's basketball, the player who fills arenas like a Taylor Swift concert, has reportedly cut off communication with Indiana Fever's medical staff after her latest groin injury.
A different doctor. And she won't even give an update to the team. Not, oh yeah, you know, she's met with a different doctor and we're waiting on an update. She's waiting, or not even, well, that's basically it. They're waiting on, oh, she's gone to a different doctor.
It's about time. Summian echoed out this organization fort reading their generational talent, like he a role player in someone else's story. Here's what's really happening behind scenes at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And Caitlin Clark might be planning her exit from Indiana sooner than anyone expected.
News: Caitlin Clark. Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations earlier this week. The team can confirm that no additional injuries or damage were discovered through the evaluations. Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on her recovery and rehabilitation, with the priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time. Any further updates will be shared as they become available.
Please subscribe. When Caitlin Clark limped off court on July 15th against the Connecticut Sun, clutching her right groin in visible frustration. It wasn't just another injury. It was the breaking point in what sources are calling a Kawhi Leonard situation, where a superstar completely loses faith in their team's medical staff.
Internet noticed something specific that Holly Rowe had to say on the broadcast. Holly Rowe said that before the last return after a quad injury, she had no practice time, which, if that's actually true, like if she wasn't practicing, if she wasn't going full speed, then why was she returning to the court? And that's actually something that I pointed out. I believe it was Scott Agnes reported that Caitlin had gone full speed in practice, but there was only one practice that she had gone full speed.
4 separate muscularies this season. Left groin strain, left quadriceps injury, and now a right groin strain. For a player who had never missed a game due to injury in her college career at Iowa or her rookie WNBA season, this injury parade isn't just bad luck. It's a pattern that's medical mismanagement.
Has made it known we are going to be holding her out until she is fully recovered. We are not going to be rushing her back at all. After taking Indiana Fever's advice, eventually Caitlin Clark needs to take matters into her own hands, make decisions for herself, and I believe that's what we are seeing with the team.
Breaking point came when Clark was rushed back from her previous groin injury, only to re-aggravate it with incomes of her return. Sources, close tough situation, report that Clark told him officials, "I'm getting my own doctors. I'm not using our doctors." She's met with outside physicians and refuses to give updates to the team's training staff.
We're speculating that Caitlin Clark injury could be much worse than expected. You know, these type of injuries and the way she's been getting these injuries is not normal. To have these strains back to back like this, and I said this before, Caitlin Clark's mobility is off, bro. I believe she might have came back too fast from the first. We all know the first one went down around the 25th of May. Then she came back and got re-injured around the 4th of July to the 5th, somewhere up in there, of July.
Let's look at the facts that the Indiana Fever doesn't want you to see. Clark's injury timeline reads like a medical disaster. On May 3rd, she was out with a left leg soreness that sidelined her for the exhibition opener. On May 6th, she missed the first game of her career with a left quad strain. In June, she missed 5 games due to a left groin injury. On July 15th, she suffered a right groin injury in final minutes against the Connecticut. And on July 24th, the Indiana Fever announced that there will be no timetable for her return, and no additional details were provided. That's 11 regular season games missed, plus the Commissioner Cup final. For context, That's nearly half the WNBA season. Going back is of recurring soft tissue injuries that should be preventable with proper conditioning and medical care.
Only good news about today is Caitlin Clark is no longer dealing with Stephanie White and these coaches and this Indiana Fever medical staff, trainers, doctors, none of that. She's seeing her own medical doctors, her own team. That's the only good news of today. She has abandoned the Indiana Fever medical staff, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. She's pulling a Kawhi Leonard, what he did with the San Antonio Spurs, letting it be known, hey, look, I'll get back to y'all when I'm ready. I'm going with my own medical staff. Y'all can beat it, kick rocks, and
But here's where it gets really telling. Clark sought second opinions in New York without informing the Fever's medical staff about the results. Coach Stephanie White admitted she hadn't talked to Thet trainers about what Clark's outside doctors discovered. When your star player is essentially going rogue on medical decisions, that's not just a boot-in injury, that's about trust being completely shattered. When the Fever hired Stephanie White, fans thought they were getting an upgrade over Christy Sabat's. White came with credentials: 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, a championship ring with the Fever as a player, someone new who understood winning. What they go instead was a coach who seems determined to fix something that isn't broken. Interview 8. Here
of this team is Stephanie White. It's Stephanie White. It's not Caitlin Clark. A great player don't all suddenly sucks. That doesn't happen. It's strategic. And everybody's saying that they played better without Caitlin Clark. No. Actually, even this loss, Caitlin Clark gives them a better chance. They're under 500 without Caitlin Clark.
It's the dirty truth that nobody wants to admit. Christy Sides knew how to use Caitlin Clark. Say what you want about Sid's other coaching flaws, but she understood one fundamental principle. When you have a generational talent, you'll build your system around them, not force them into your system. Sides, let Clark pleat Clark. She gave her the ball. Let her in the offense at her preferred pace and watch the magic happen. The results: Clark's rookie season statistics that broke multiple WNBA records, a playoff appearance for the first time since 2016, and sold-out arenas everywhere he played. White's recent comments about wanting Clark to play off the ball and having two main ball handlers show fundamentally misunderstands what makes Clark special. You don't take the ball out of Magic Johnson's hands, Beckos. The defense is pressuring him. You don't bench Michael Jordan Becasey's being done, and you don't turn Caitlin Clark into a role player Beck as your system can't accommodate agreeedness.
This is how it starts in sports. This is how it starts in the NFL. This is how it starts in the NBA. When you start seeing the wheels in motion, there's signs. There's signs before eventually a player gets traded. A player eventually marks their next destination. The Indiana Fever, you're on notice. You're on notice. You better recognize what you've got going on, the asset in front of you, and you do whatever you have to do to correct what is happening.
The most damning evidence of Clark's frustration came after the Fever's Lopsto, the New York Liberty on July 22nd. Photos surfaced of Clark, along with Harrigan, in what appeared to be a private meeting with Liberty coach Sandy Brandello and stars Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu in the tunnel at Barclays Center. This wasn't some casual post-gamma conversation when your agent is present for a discussion with another team's coaching staff and star players. That's a business meeting about your future. The optics were crystal clear. While the Fever continued to mismanage their superstar, the Liberty were making their pitch for when Clark became available. Multiple sources report that Clark has essentially fired the Fever's medical team in favor of her own doctors. She is visiting specialists in New York and refusing to share results with Fedham's trainers. This level of medical rebellion is unprecedented in women's basketball and mirrors exactly with Kawhi Leonard's departure from San Antonio. Medical professional Shave pointed out that Clark's pattern of recurring groin and quad injury suggests either poor conditioning protocols or inadequate rehabilitation.
Why Caitlin Clark was injured is a real thing. It's not just because she's a good player and people go hard against her. In my opinion, there's some other stuff going on there. A lot of pressure to put people in seats, to put eyeballs on the game. You come back a little early. Teams, as they should, play hard against her. Some teams go over the line and refs seem to look the other way. In my opinion, you had some of that going on with some other talent in the league as well last year. But this is different.
The fact that she keeps suffering the same types of injuries indicates the root cause has never been properly addressed. when Michael Jordan's legendary trainer shared concerns about groin injuries in elite athletes. It sparked discussions about whether Clark's medical team understands the specific demands of her playing style. The consensus among experts is clear. The Fever's approach to Clark's conditioning and injury prevention has been amateur hour. Let's talk about what Clark's absence actuality. When she's on the court, the Fever are a completely different team. These aren't just natural fluctuations, they're the result of a player being rushed back from injuries and forced to play in a system that doesn't suit her strengths. The Fever are 4-6 without Clark this season, including their recent games where they've looked competent but not championship caliber. That's the difference between a playoff team and a title contender. And it all comes down to whether they can keep their superstar healthy and happy.
A WNBA team that have been very, very, very much in, like, they made it clear that they want Caitlin Clark, or they're eventually going to want Caitlin Clark. Along those lines, they made it very, very clear. And that team is the New York Liberty. I think there is a 50-50 chance Caitlin Clark leaves Indiana after her rookie season. No, after her rookie contract is up. Because
Clark's refusal to communicate with the Fever's medical staff
is the uncomfortable truth that Fever fans don't want to hear. Caitlin Clark doesn't owe Indiana anything. She's already given them sold-out crowds, national television ratings, playoff appearances, and millions in revenue. What has the organization given her? A parade of injuries, coaching instability, and a medical staff she can't trust. The Fever have proven they didn't know how to build around a superstar. They hired a coach who wants to limit Clark's impact rather than maximize it. Clark should be the system, not a piece of it. She should have the ball in her hands 90% of the time she's in the court. The offense should run at whatever pace she dictates. Every other player should be chosen based on how well they complement her skills. Instead, White is trying to make Clark fit into her vision of how basketball should be played. And the results speak for themselves.
Time I haven't felt like a young body that can run around and sprint every day and just continue to do that, Clark said in an event during All-Star Weekend per Glamour. Being a professional athlete, you really have to take care of both your body and your mind. It's been a journey.
Part of this interesting situation is that Clark is in her primer right now. She's 23 years old at peak athleticism and has already proven she can dominate at the professional level. These should be the years where Indiana is building a championship contender around her, not figuring out basic medical care and coaching philosophy. Every game Clark misses is a game closer to her inevitable departure. That's why they're already positioning themselves for when Clark becomes available. They have championship caliber players, competent coaching, and an organization that knows how to maximize star talent. Most importantly, they wouldn't waste Clark's prime years trying to turn her into something she's not. There is a team that have been very, very Mac and made it well. They made it clear that they want Caitlin Clark, or they're eventually going to want Caitlin Clark along those lines. They made it very, very clear, and that team is the New York Liberty. I think there is a 50-50th chance Caitlin Clark leaves Indiana after rookie season. No, after rookie season, after rookie contract is up, because Clark's refusal to communicate with the Fever's medical staff isn't just about this latest injury. It's about a pattern of disrespect that started with rushing her back from previous injuries and continues with a coaching staff that doesn't understand how to use her properly. When a player off Clark's caliber stops trusting their organization's most basic functions, keeping them healthy and putting them in position to succeed, that's not a temporary disagreement. They're focused on their systems and protocols that they've forgotten the most important rule in professional sports. When you have a once-in-a-generation talent, you do everything possible to keep them happy and healthy. Body language tells a story that her public statement when she was visibly emotional after her latest injury, covering her head with a towel and showing clear she's seeking medical opinions without involving team staff. She's having private meetings with youth organizations. These aren't the actions of a player who's committed long-term to her current situation. White continues to talk about Clark playing off the ball in her system. The medical staff continues to lose their superstars' trust with every setback. She shouldn't have risk her health with a medical staff she doesn't trust. She shouldn't have to carry an organization that does what they have. The choice isn't for Indiana. Build around Caitlin Clark the right way, or watch her take her talent somewhere that will, because right now they're doing everything possible to push away the best thing that's ever happened to their franchise. The clock is ticking and Caitlin Clark's patience has officially run.